Hey YouTubers, so it's Chessie, and hopefully I figured out the technical difficulties that I had yesterday with my sound not recording, because that's what's funny is when I played it back on my computer, it had sound. When I uploaded it twice, it didn't. When I imported it into Premiere, it also lost sound. So somewhere in between my recording software and the internet, the sound was dropped. I'm pretty sure it was my recording software because it had just updated and apparently reset it to settings I had had like 3 or 4 existences ago. Whatever, it happens. So I'm redoing yesterday's Get Ready With Me slash Rough Cut Monday. I've just got my face washed. I'm gonna keep it a lot simpler than I did yesterday, just because it was kind of a pain in the ass. I realized why I didn't care for doing that so much is because taking it off is a bitch, and I'm lazy. But that's okay. You know, it's okay to be lazy. So, what I had talked about yesterday that you all missed was that it's okay to give yourself permission to do things that make you happy. For me, it's doing my makeup. It's being okay with doing my makeup and actually doing it. So this is what I'm doing to give myself permission to enjoy the copious amounts of makeup I own, as well as, share with you guys. Now, everybody has something where they feel like they shouldn't enjoy it, or that it's something they shouldn't enjoy, like Justin Bieber or My Little Ponies or cartoons, or maybe you're somebody in that camp of I shouldn't enjoy gaming, but I do. And what I mean by giving yourself permission is sometimes you have to vocally go, I'm allowed to do this. This is how I want to spend my off time. I'm not hurting anyone. So this is what I'm going to do with my off time. And you have to just push through that. You have to push through the rationalization that you have going on, where you're telling yourself it's wrong and you're telling yourself why it's wrong, and ignore that and enjoy it. You're not going to you're allowed to be happy. You have to grab onto what makes you happy, as long as it's not hurting anybody and you're not destroying your life completely, like with drugs or alcohol. Please, by all means, have at it. Life is way too short for you to be spent being miserable about doing something you enjoy. How unfair is that? That we basically torment ourselves with the logic that we can't enjoy something because we're not supposed to, or we feel like we're not allowed to, or it's not supposed to be for us. I mean, who defines what is for us and what isn't for us except for us? You are the one that says whether you are okay with something or not. You are the one who will set your boundaries. Never be afraid to do what you love. Never be afraid to, if you need to, make an entire life change. I have my best friend, who's like a sister to me, is actually doing this. She is doing a whole life switch, and I have never been prouder of her, because she's doing it for herself. She is completely flipping her life upside down to be happy for the first time in her life for herself. She had spent so much time, kind of like me, doing things that she thought other people would approve of, and it would make her happy because she got their approval. Well, that kind of backfires, really, because you're miserable because you're doing something for someone else rather than for yourself, so you're not happy. It's ridiculous, the logic we consume with the idea that if we make somebody else happy, even though just because we love them, it should make us happy. That it should fix a lot of those troubled thoughts or ideas that we're clinging to in our head if we're able to make somebody else happy because they make us happy in some way. Well, here's the painful truth about that. If you're doing it for them, but it's not something you enjoy, or you are getting a very short-lived return on the happiness you give them, you should probably think about doing something else. And I say that because you can turn yourself into a pretzel inside out, up and down, change your size, change your shape. But if it's not for you, and if it's not something that ultimately makes you happy at the core of you, it's only going to serve to be a reason why you may actually build a grudge against that person. You may start to develop an issue with them because you feel like you're giving up so much of yourself and so much of your life to make this one person happy, only to get nothing in return. And that goes back to how unfair is that you have chosen to make this one person happy and it's not yourself. And they just don't give a fuck or what, you're basically stuck at like day one. Or maybe it's they don't really care. Maybe you don't realize it. Maybe they actually are, it's not that they're assholes. I mean, there are people like that. But they may not see it as, something they're supposed to return or something that they're supposed to be excited about. They may think that it's just, it's you doing you because that's what you do. And that's what they've gotten used to. So it's like going back to the giving yourself permission for stuff. Give yourself permission to leave shit that does not work for you. Give yourself permission to be happy. To do what makes you happy. Whether it be change jobs, move a state, move across the state, cut ties with your family or toxic people that you are still associating with. You got to do what's right for you. At the end of the day, you have to give yourself the permission to grow, the permission to be happy, the permission to live your life the way you want to without listening to that social stigma, pressure, craziness that comes with being out in the world. And you let it go. And it's a hard thing to do because we're programmed from like day one. We are programmed that we should think always of the greater good. Well, what's the greater good if you feel like shit? What's the greater good if you're trying to pour from an empty cup, as the saying goes? There's nothing for you to do if you can't take care of yourself first. And this goes a little bit back into last week's video about self-care, because it really is self-care at the core of it. It's you taking care of yourself, letting you be happy. And this will be something I kind of harp on a lot, because a lot of people don't realize what they're doing and how it impacts their lives, because they're so caught in this thought cycle of, well, if I do this for so-and-so and it makes them happy, it's going to make me happy. Okay, that's great, but if you don't enjoy it, if you don't actually love it, why? Why do it? Why commit to it? Why think you have to do it? Why hang on to that thought that you must do it? It's not like you signed a contract, one with anybody other than yourself, to commit You know, and this goes for even those of you that are married. That wedding contract says you're supposed to love and to hold. It doesn't say that you're supposed to commit yourself to slavery and completely ignore your own feelings, emotions, or desires. Sometimes you have to have those conversations with your partner about what makes you happy, why it makes you happy, and how they can help you to be happy. And that's every side of that conversation. Whether it's you who gives so much or you who receives so much. Because at some point, you know, your partner is going to need some help to figure out how to make you happy. You're going to change, you're going to grow. What you like may change with you, which goes back to, you know, being honest about what makes you happy. Because you're going to grow and change as a person. For better or for worse, you will grow and change. That is something I can tell you is like, it is cemented in the earth that as a human, you will grow and change. That is how life functions. That is how the world functions. And it seems painful. It seems wrong sometimes, because sometimes you grow away from somebody you don't want to grow away from. Whether it be your family or your lover or your partner or your spouse or whoever you may be falling away from, it's going to happen naturally. Because that's how life works. It's just part of it. And that's okay. The hard part I think a lot of people have is being honest about that. And it can be rough to be honest about that. Because it changes your life. You know, one minute you are with somebody that you're pretty sure you're going to be married to or you're happy with on such extremes, and then the next thing you know, it's like, holy shit, what am I doing? Why am I here? I don't really care for what I'm doing anymore. And that's okay. I mean, I think we've, as a culture here in America, especially, it could be the same around the world, we've developed this weird thought process that once we hit this certain apex of who we are, we're supposed to stay there. That we can't change or grow, or we can't flip our life upside down so that we can reevaluate where we're at or completely rewrite what's going on in our lives. And this is something that's really hard. I'm not saying it's going to be easy should you go down this path. It's difficult. But it goes back to the core of today's video. And yesterday's video before, you know, it was edited, is that you gotta give yourself permission. Permission to be human. Permission to live. Permission to be okay with whatever it is that you might love to do. And as long as you're not hurting anybody or, you know, destroying your life with drugs. And I'm not talking about the, hey, I want to go roll on X type of drugs, you know, once in a while. I'm talking about you're going bankrupt because you can't live without stuff. Is the stuff where it's like, no, you might want to seek help. You know, everybody is an adult and allowed to make their choices. I am not going to fault anyone who feels that, you know, they like some recreational use or something like that. That's their business. When they're starting to pawn their, you know, children's toys or something like that, that's when it's a problem. And you've got to be okay with giving yourself permission. It's a form of self-care. It's a form of self-love to say that I'm okay with this, that this is what makes me happy. And this is why it makes me happy. And I have mascara dots all over my face. You're not supposed to be there. Oh. And that's the core of today's video, is being okay with, you know, and here's something that I've always struggled with. Dark lips. But you have to be okay with whatever it is that makes you happy. And you have to be okay with making yourself happy. And understand that it's not wrong to make yourself happy. Because if you don't make yourself happy, nobody else is going to. If you liked today's video, please hit subscribe, hit like, sound off in the comments below. Tell me what makes you happy. Tell me what you need to have permission to give yourself up for. Or give yourself permission for that you might have struggled with. And that's okay. I look forward to hearing from you guys, and I'll catch you later.